Good evening, this 1st of October 2018. Many thanks for choosing Y254, and tonight on our discussion Monday we shall be talking about road safety, and to understand more of that, with me in studio is Michael Kabuthia. He will be helping us to know what does it call to have road safety, what do we need to do, because everyone driving, they have to go to the school of driving, and we find so many people losing their lives due to negligence and so many more. Keep it Y254 22162 is the SMS line. Choose, remember to start with the word Y News. Again, 22162 is the SMS line. Choose, remember to start with the word Y News. At Murani Hillary at Y254 channel is the Twitter handle to use. Hashtag is Y254 updates. That's a conversation that will be coming to you much later in this program, but right about now we want to look at a few things that are happening in our country, and we begin with the story from the teachers. The Teacher Service Commission and Kenya National Union of Teachers have resorted to dialogue to avert a looming strike. The two parties began a 5-day meeting at Naivasha Hotel on Monday with a view to resolving the issues. Elsewhere, Education PS Belio Kipsang says the Education Ministry has put in place an elaborate mechanism to ensure the national examinations go on without a hitch. TV journalist Jackie Maribe has been detained for 10 more days. She is facing charges of being an accessory to the murder of Monica Kimani. And elsewhere, 6 suspected thugs were on Monday morning shot dead in a botched robbery at a factory in Thika. And lastly, National Ethics and Anti-Corruption shows Interior Ministry as most prone to corruption, followed by Health and Land Ministry. Those are some of the few things that are happening in our country. So much is happening, including even Indonesia, where so many people have lost their lives due to tsunami, earthquake. Now, welcome to this program tonight. My name is Dereva Hillary. A lot of people have lost their lives. Many people have become orphans. Others have become permanent disabled due to road accidents. And the question many people ask is, for how long will humankind continue losing lives due to accidents and other things? And like I mentioned earlier, with me in studio is Michael Kabuthia. He will be telling us more as a driver. What does it call to be a driver who is caring to the people he is ferrying to one place or the other, and what does it have to take to be a good driver, because good roads don't make a driver. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome to Y254.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you are a driver.
Yes, I am.
I would like to know, for how long have you been a driver?
Close to 24 years.
24 years.
Yes.
That's quite a long time.
Yes.
And we have seen so many things happening, and someone would be wondering, if you've been a driver for 24 years, have you ever escaped an accident? And was it your cause, or it was the other party's cause?
I've been involved in my 24 years. I've been involved in one accident,
Right.
and I was a cause. I was over speeding and it was dark.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, just like you have said, so many people speed, and okay, we have the speed meters showing even to 180, but you find that, for an example, the PSV, they would tell us to have 80 kilometers per hour. So what does it happen, or what makes individuals to think of speeding more than the required speed?
I believe drivers speed for various reasons. Most of them are unique to themselves. One of the biggest reasons why drivers speed, especially in PSVs, is they have targets that they need to meet every day. So say a long distance driver, he's driving from Mombasa to Nairobi. He needs to get to Nairobi in, say, 8 hours. If he gets to Nairobi in 7, there's a bonus. I believe they are paid. Right. When you look at matatus, the Nganyas and the likes, right, the more trips he does, the more he's going to earn. And it all goes back to the targets that has been set by the owner of the vehicle. When you look at smaller cars, especially the taxis that we have today, it's the same thing. The more trips you do, the more you earn. So target the amount of money that you have targeted yourself that you need to have is what drives you to speeding. The other aspect is drunken driving. There's this notion that gari yangu inajua nyumbani. So once you drink, what happens is you lose control of your mental faculties. Then what happens is you tend to overspeed. Most of the accidents that happen, especially at night, are caused by speeding by someone who's not in total control of the machine.
Before we get to all the details and what has happened actually even recently, I'm interested to know your journey as a driver. Have you ever worked in the PSV industry?
Yes, I have.
And how was it like?
Back then it was a bit subtle. There was not too much pressure.
When was this?
I remember early 96, 97. I drove for about 4 or 5 months in the matatu industry, and there was not too much pressure. And then obviously the roads were not better, but there were less cars, so maneuverability of vehicles was easy. For a driver, yes.
Was it here in the city or?
Yes, it was here in the city.
All right. And have you worked for corporate?
Yes, I have worked for corporate, and I remember my last engagement. I was working in for a company that we had operations in the northern part of Kenya, and it was tough. Back then, it was tough. We used to drive big cars, Land Cruisers and the sorts, and you're driving them on desert roads. Because of security, because you need to get where you're going, and then long distances, you need to cover very long distances in short periods. So we used to sort of overspeed.
All right. Now let's now get to a few stats here, where the National Transport and Safety Authority has expressed concern over increase in fatal accidents. The figure has surpassed the 2,000 mark. I don't know who set this mark to be 2,000, but it happens that we have lost so many lives, including what happened just yesterday. 12 people, so to speak, lost their lives due to road carnage, and it is said it was due to overspeeding. And then one would ask, if you're fairing people, why should you overspeed? Because you know if you overspeed, you will not have control of this vehicle. There's that aspect of they want to beat target, but where's the sense of humanity in this? Why would someone want to hurry to get to their destination and maybe go back? As in, what enters someone's mind?
I strongly believe that no one wants to die. No one wants to commit suicide on the roads. But when you're driving, when you're seated at the driver's seat, sometimes you're driven by your own ego. Most of the accidents that happen, especially at night, is a driver driving a bus carrying 50, 60 passengers, trying to overtake trucks on the road. The other day I saw a clip where a driver was permanently driving on the right side of the road. Actually, the people who are coming towards him had to drive off the road. I cannot pinpoint exactly what happens, but I think it's something to do with their ego, something to do with trying to show that you're driving a big car or a big machine. And then more often than not, it's someone who does not value his own life. When you're carrying 70 people, I would assume that you'd be more careful. But that is not the trend that is in this country.
Because if someone has gone to the school of driving and they are taught about road safety, I expect them to be more keen, knowing you're not carrying, as the cliche goes, the bags of maize. Now, a total of 1,570 people, 1,577 people have lost their lives in road accident between January 1st and July 10th of this year. And the WHO says most of the accidents are caused by pedestrians. Like an example, in the city, you find ourselves like here in Nairobi, we don't cross the roads at our designated places, and we have all the theories. Now, as a driver, I know you have experienced this. How does it go when you're on your right lane and then here comes a person who wants to cross?
I do not know when the traffic rules change, because when you're driving along, especially within the CBD,
Right.
you'll find that pedestrians are even sort of daring a driver to knock them. Kenyans, we are unique, and we are always in a hurry.
Right.
And you, as a pedestrian, you'll assume the driver is seeing you.
Yeah.
But as I was growing up, I remember we used to be told, as soon as you reach a road and you want to cross, look left, look right, look left again, and then cross. But it's no longer the case.
True.
I think it's Kenyans doing what they know best. You're in a hurry to make the next shilling, and you sort of put your safety as aside.
True.
In your rush to get money. When you look at even the drivers themselves, the number of accidents occurring as we move forward are much more now than they were during the generations of our parents, for example.
Right.
I would give an example of I know people who have driven for so many years, they do not know what an accident is. Before I was introduced to my mother, she was driving. To date, she's still driving. For 40 plus years,
Yeah.
she's been driving, and not one accident. That tells a lot.
True.
It tells a lot that the older generation actually know how to drive better than we do. Yet we drive better cars than they used to do back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and okay, so someone is wondering what that statement meant, but I am hoping you said you found your mother driving and she still drives even today.
Yes.
All right. Now, there's this thing as a driver. When you have been taught how to drive and how to take care of other people, you get to a point, these are people who want to cross, because I have seen drivers who are like hawaoni hapa hapafai kuvukiwa, so they are ignorant as well, or they assume hata wao hawajui, so you find your ego and my ego, they meet, and then here comes the danger. Now, what do you think can be done to such situations, especially here in the CBD?
The county government a while back embarked on a program where they would actually help pedestrians cross roads at zebra crossings. And if you would cross a road where there is no zebra crossing, you'd be arrested. I don't know whether they got tired of that program, but it used to help. I think it's about attitude on pedestrian side, also on the driver's side. I don't know, you cannot tell a pedestrian to go back to school because there's no school for being a pedestrian, but drivers, we need to exercise some patience with some of these guys so that with time they could change. I think it's only a law that could help pedestrians not get knocked on the roads today. Yeah, that's my thinking.
All right. You just mentioned earlier about looking right and left, then right again, then cross the road. Here in the CBD, it's not the same, because you will find there's a strict lane for this side, so you will only know vehicles are coming from this side, so that will be your concern. But then there's this thing, the menace that we have had with the motorbikes. You're sure there's no vehicle coming from this side because they should be using this lane. When you get the other side, you meet with the motorcycles. Now, what should be done about these people?
I think they should all go back for training.
All
border, because I highly doubt if border riders are legally licensed. Most of them just learn how to ride bikes from friends, and then they go, and then there's easy access to this motorbike. So the quicker you learn how to ride one, the quicker you get one. Banks are rolling out finance for motorbikes. That is why there's so many on the roads today.
True.
They need to go back. And I know NTSA had started that program, and they were training motorbike riders. I remember I attended one in Nakuru. So they are sort of agreeing and trying to change the way they operate.
True.
But they really need some training.
Yeah, you just spoke of training, and then we are like, just the other day the NTSA was trying to come up with some regulations or some sort of training to motorists, and saying they will revoke some of their licenses because we know many of the people driving today, their licenses are not legal. Just because I come from a family that has a car, I'll be shown this is what you should do, what. And then when I go to the school, I make my way through the corruption that we've had. Now, moving forward, how can we tell that so and so has not undergone a training through a school to a qualified tutor, and how do we ensure that this has been followed to the letter?
Now, NTSA has rolled out the new training curriculum. That is one of the things, and we are having people being trained on how to train on this curriculum. Two, NTSA has moved is moving into digitalizing all licenses.
Yeah.
At some point, all these old licenses will be sort of extinct. They are issuing an ID-like driving license that has all your details. Now, getting that card is extremely difficult because they have set training hours, and they have set the exam, the testing that they do. So moving forward, I know they've been rolling out this, and I think by late next year, the old book-like DLs will no longer exist. Only the digital cards will exist. So, and you can only get that digital card from NTSA. So when you're stopped on the road and a cop asks you for that license and you check your book-like license, it will no longer be valid. They'll require the small smart. They are calling them smart DLs, and that will really help in erasing the drivers that have not been trained properly on our roads today.
And how do you think this goes with the people who underwent the training before or for many years? Like an example, you did your driving so many years ago, and now you're required to change. Do you think it will work for so many people?
It might not work for those who are not willing to face the change. I would really encourage NTSA to be retesting drivers every 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Because in developed countries, that is what is happening. After 3 years, you go back for retesting, they check your driving skills, they check your eyesight, and if it gets to a point where you really cannot drive the way you're used to, you're not given the license.
All right, we will be taking a short break, but when we come back, we'll come to some of the rules, like that of in Kenya, if you have diabetes, you will not be allowed to have a driving license. You'll get to see how should that be affecting so many Kenyans who want to drive. I want us to, before we take this break, to see about the motorcycles, because their number increased from 258 to 260 something. And this is quite serious, because these are some of the people actually here in the CBD. Let me use this example, because in the rules I know they run all the what they want, but here in the city you'll find they can't even negotiate a roundabout. They have to take the shortcut, and this has caused them problems and have also caused the motorist problems, and you find them arguing many times. Have you experienced such with them?
Yes, I have. On the road, I have. And if you go to most county hospitals, they've set aside a whole ward for motorcycle accidents. You go to Kenyatta, I think it's on the 7th floor, where you'll find it's flooded with people injured by accidents caused by motorcycle riders. It's worrying. It's really saddening, and that's why I insist that they need to go back to training. If you look at now, like in Nairobi, the CBD, they are being chased from within the CBD.
Yes.
Basically, it's because they've become a menace, and they need to be toned down.
I think that they have refused. They say it's political. They say it's a way of employment, and they can only work in the city. All right, we will be coming back to that discussion. Monday takes a short break here on Y254. Stay tuned.